Can we try a tiny experiment together? Imagine you're standing in an elevator. It's quiet, just you. The doors open and one stranger walks in. Suddenly you don't know where to look. Do you check your phone? Stare at the floor numbers? Pretend to read a safety sign you've never noticed before? Isn't it funny how one person can completely change the way we behave without saying a single word? Now imagine that stranger turns to you, smiles, and asks, "Hi, how's your day going?" It's one of the easiest English questions in the world. You've heard it hundreds of times. You know exactly what it means. And yet, for a split second, your brain seems to press a giant pause button. Why does that happen? Why do we become different versions of ourselves around people we've never met? Today, we're not just talking about English. We're talking about that invisible switch that changes the way we think, speak, and even breathe the moment another person steps into our space.
I used to think this only happened to me. Then one morning, I got into an elevator on my way to work. I was alone, a song, checking my messages, completely relaxed. The doors opened on the third floor, and an older gentleman stepped inside carrying a cup of coffee. Nothing unusual. He smiled politely and said, "Morning." Such a small word. One syllable. Thousands of people say it every day without thinking. But for some reason, my brain started acting like I was about to give a speech in front of 1,000 people. I smiled, nodded, and somehow managed to mumble something that sounded more like a cough than a greeting. The elevator ride lasted maybe 15 seconds, but by the time the doors opened, I had already replayed the entire conversation in my head 3 times. Why didn't I just say, "Good morning"? Why did that feel so difficult?
A few weeks ago, something happened that made me laugh. I stepped into another elevator, and before I even had time to overthink, a little girl looked up at me and asked, "Do you like dinosaurs?" Of all the questions she could have asked, that was the one. I smiled immediately and answered, "Yes, especially the big ones." We spent the next few floors talking about dinosaurs, cartoons, and her favorite color. I didn't think about grammar once. I didn't worry about pronunciation. I wasn't trying to sound impressive. I was simply having a conversation. Then her family got off, the doors closed, and I stood there smiling because I realized something important. Confidence didn't appear because my English suddenly became better. It appeared because my attention moved away from myself and toward the other person.
Think about the last stranger you saw this morning. Can you remember exactly what they were wearing? Probably not. Can you remember the color of their shoes? Their hairstyle? The exact words they said? Most of us can't, because our brains are focused on our own lives. And that's exactly what the person standing next to you is doing. They're thinking about getting to work, answering emails, picking up groceries, or making it home before dinner. They're not secretly grading your English. They're not giving you invisible points for grammar. They're simply living their own story, just like you are.
So tomorrow, when you step into an elevator, stand in line for coffee, wait at a bus stop, or meet someone new, don't give yourself the impossible mission of sounding fluent. Give yourself one simple mission. Make one tiny connection. It could be good morning. It could be thank you. It could be have a nice day. Those 3 words may seem too small to matter, but every confident speaker you've ever admired built their confidence exactly the same way, one ordinary conversation at a time. Confidence isn't born in extraordinary moments. It grows quietly inside ordinary ones.
That realization changed the way I approach every conversation now. Whenever I feel nervous, I stop asking myself, "What if I make a mistake?" And I replace it with a much better question. What can I learn about this person? It's amazing how quickly fear becomes curiosity. Instead of trying to perform, you start trying to connect. Instead of building perfect sentences in your head, you begin listening. And when you genuinely listen, something unexpected happens. Your next sentence arrives more naturally because you're responding to a real person, not to the imaginary audience inside your mind.